So what about Henrik?
Yeah.
How do you guys? What do you measure? Like, do you measure because you have kind of like your model is built on two different parts.
Yeah. So kind of stepping back a little bit, continue on the advertising side. What we think most people underestimate how hard it is to build good ad sales. Because good ad sales, you need a very good, primarily large website. If you're small and you think you're going to get big brand money, you're just fooling yourself. And if you're international, you need to be in London, New York, and possibly Chicago and LA. If you're Western-oriented, US, UK. And in each market you need at least one salesperson will cost you $100,000 up front at least, and then they will be kind of medium, not the superstars. And they're gonna have probably an incentive or a bonus on 50 to 100% on that. You need support staff, etc. So it's not, obviously you can't take the Google Ads and stuff, paste in for in 10 seconds. But if you want to monetize on brand ad sales, you probably need someone to put venture money into building the ad sales organization.
So it's a sales job.
It's traditional sales. They say that you sell brand ad sales, you go to these media agencies in New York, and if they tell you to jump or kind of turn your website pink or black or something, you just do that. And then you try and charge as much as you can for that. That's really the advertising model, which kind of, the first time you realize that it's a bit hurtful, you really darn.
Ted disagrees.
Isn't that sort of like the old advertising model? Isn't that going to change? Because that's like, sort of, for me, it sounds like the old world, you know?
Yeah.
And the new world is like when I was selling my magazines, you know, a few years ago, I was like, I don't care if I'm advertising on Dagens Industri or if I'm advertising or whatever, you know, I follow, you know, I track my, you know, my purchases and stuff, so I know, you know, and I don't care where they're coming from, or I just care about the, you know.
Yeah, and that's obviously, it's very two-split world. You know, when you talk about the kind of higher-end traditional media publishers might get 5 to 10 euros per 1,000 ad impressions because they do it the old-school way, and often the buyers are looking at probably improving brand or brand recognition, brand recall, kind of more fussy metrics. And then you have the guys and girls buying on response, and they track everything. And usually, if you have a large website, you have no commercial intent on each banner advertising. The beauty of Google is that they know if you search for "I want to buy a car," and the buyer knows that, okay, that's highly valuable, so you end up with very low CPMs, which doesn't sustain more than a couple of guys, maybe one
What
guy.
you're saying is that is there's, or one guy, that there's which is fine, that there's still two models existing. So the brand advertising that we know, that really cool Nike advertising that makes me want to run faster and all that, and then you have the very actionable, which is exactly. So exactly. You have an intention.
Yeah.
So it is still divided. But can you make money with both, or is one dominant? Like if you really want to, like for you guys.
We primarily on the advertising side go to brand advertisers.
So you have a sales force.
Yeah, we have a sales force, and then some countries which are basically too small for us to warrant the investment of a sales force, we do partnerships with local sales companies and or these ad networks, but then it doesn't end up to a lot of euros in the end.
Okay, where does your content, your adverts come from?
Our adverts.
Yeah, exactly.
Brand. It's branding, and it's that's why also if you look at our clients, it's as I said, mainly old media, because that's the only media companies, almost only media companies that know how to sell ads, because you know they've done it for many years. So again, it's about having that sales organization, knowing the guy at the media agency that is running the Adidas account, and then getting that person out for dinner and lunch, and then you take them out for to Åre for some skiing, and then and it's the new world is I get that a lot actually from people saying, people are stupid buying TV ads, people are stupid buying these. But I mean, hey, in the end, they are not stupid. I mean, Procter & Gamble, these guys are making money, they're following up, but you can't follow up in the same way. You can't have it black on white for exactly every spending. So I think to some degree, it's about that quote. You spend $100 and 50 of it is wasted. You just don't know which 50. I think that still goes, even if it might be 52.
But you don't see Ted. You don't see that.
Well, I think the boring thing when we're talking about this sort of advertising, it's like we're talking about the same like 100 advertised brands in Sweden. It's like it's as if there were only like 100 advertisers in this country. So it's Nike, it's Procter & Gamble, it's OLV and Cloetta, and it's. But in reality, I mean, there are actually like 1.2 million businesses sort of in this country, and even individuals that could potentially be advertising. So I mean, I hope that, I mean, at least I know we're not there yet. We're still sort of stuck in the old system, but I think that this old system of advertising, that you're talking about, it is stupid. So I'm hoping for a new. I think it's going to take it might take like 10 or 20 years before it sort of the shift happens. But
is it, do you still have the division in a way that as I understood it, that yes, you can support yourself, and if you are a really smart guy like you can kind of make a living out of it. But can you really build we're talking about entrepreneurship here. Can you really build it into an exit or a big company like Stardoll or Videoplaza with the not touching the brand advertising?
I think it just advertising only is maybe not like a fantastic business model. Like because there's so much content on the internet, and
so much
it's increasing, like so it's like it's hard to but I would Google obviously was like the eye opener for me and for a lot of people, and I think that sort of thinking that Google sort of brought is gonna it's gonna spread.
It will,
and I hope there's going to be more ways than just Google to more platforms.
But Henrik, how does I get the Google point, and I think it's valid, but how does it translate to? Is it all the same for you're a pretty big company, Stardoll? So I mean, is it in a way that you need to rely on the brand advertising? That's where the real money is.
I think it's good to know about Google with this kind of the new model and the kind of self-service idea that Google employs more salespeople than engineers. Still, 20,000 people, 8,000 salespeople. So just to kind of put it in perspective, I think you can, depending on what kind of site you run, you end up going different ways. If you have something that is kind of capturing consumer intent, like Price Runner does with electronics, or Compriser does with loans, you can sell it off on a lead basis and do very, very well. And that's a lot of what's driving Google as well. But if you have a kind of broader site which doesn't really capture commercial intent to the same extent, even though there's been lots of talk about advertising targeting, which really is you try and figure out, if I'm looking at a general web page, what have I done previously that could make the ad server make an educated guess that I'm more likely to respond. But that hasn't really developed that far. So, and then you end up with brand advertising, which you can charge more money for if you're good.